This is the Ballgame on NorthJerseySports.com. Brought to you by an all-purpose limousine. We'll take you for a ride without taking you for a ride. Back on the Ballgame, NorthJerseySports.com's original multimedia series talking all things North Jersey sports. I am Cory Doviak, and I have assembled an illustrious panel of guests this evening as we break down what happened in round one of the Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament. Joining us tonight, a guy who played in it. Well, let's just introduce him first, and then we'll talk about the result. He is Tenafly head coach Jeff Kohler. Coach, thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it is a pleasure. And going around the room, Scotty Papetti, the Paramus head coach. Scotty, nice to have you back.
Always a pleasure.
Are you sure about that?
Of course, come on. I got nothing else to do.
Hey, listen, I'm just checking. We did do a very an interesting show the last time we were all together, and I'm just making sure that you're still on board. That's all.
Absolutely. Always.
All right. Guns a-blazing. And speaking of guys with guns a-blazing, Richie, Ballgame, Barton, fighting the cold tonight. Richie, cough for the audience for you.
Bang, bang. Richie B, shooting him down.
So we got a lot to talk about here from round one of the Bergen County Tournament. It's on to the games. I mean, we had our say about what went on in the seeding meeting, but none of that matters now as round one is officially in the books. And I guess, we should start with the guy that we have on the line here. Jeff Kohler, you have a history of pulling huge upsets in the Bergen County Tournament. This year it didn't go your way. A tough trip to Pascack Hills on Saturday.
Yeah, Hills was great. I mean, very patient on offense, very well coached. Going in, we knew that they had two very good guards that could shoot and drive, but we knew they had a couple posts, but the post player really killed us. And, we can't score, a lot of points, so we have to keep, most teams in the 20s, low 30s to have a chance, and they did a terrific job. I mean, we were, from the get-go, I think we were down 9-2. I mean, we would just keep trying to get back, and we tried to, but, it was hard, because we don't have a lot of scorers on our team, but the girls worked hard. I was really happy about their effort, and, Hills is a team to be reckoned with. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, and I think for your team as well, it was a great accomplishment to get into the tournament. All kidding aside, to get there this year was a big accomplishment for Tenafly. I just want to mention, before I let you comment on that statement, we are going to continue our trip around round one of the tournament. We will have two guests on. Julie Haledjian, the head coach of the Indian Hills girls basketball team. They're the number 15 seed in a game that Richie Barton covered on Saturday. A huge win, the first in a long time for Indian Hills in the tournament. They did it on their home floor. It's a great story. We will talk to her. And another head coach who has done great things since taking over at Northern Valley Demarest, Lindsay Steffner, the former Lindsay Davis, who many people know as one of Bergen County's greatest players. She will also join us to talk about her game against Ramsey this past weekend, a win, and her upcoming game against Saddle River Day in the round of 16. I should have mentioned that at the top of the show, but I got a lot of things on my mind. So, Mr. Kohler, you can proceed.
Well, we were happy to get in the tournament. It's not a direct, exact science. It definitely has its flaws, but I've been part of it for several years, and I think for the most part, most of the time, we get it right or they get it right, and I think this year, there was a couple of issues probably, but for us, we did beat Old Japan and PV. I think those are pretty good signature wins.
Yep.
But like I said, we're beholden to the people at the table, and like I said, we're happy that we got recognized. But like for instance, Scott and Bergenfield from Paramus and Mike from Bergenfield, I know they didn't get in, and I played Scott in a couple of weeks, and I played Bergenfield. Both great programs, both have solid, big time girls. I think Paramus with Stone, she's one of the best players in the county by far, and she could light it up any night. So, like I said, we're happy to get in. We had an opportunity. We didn't do it, but it's tough at the table and tough getting a call. I'm glad I got a call about making the tournament.
Yeah, it was a little bit different on the other end of the spectrum, that's for sure. But it is what it is, and the tournament's moving on here. So. Let's go around the first round, Scotty. What stuck out to you? Anything in particular? I mean, there were not big upset, no big eye-opening upset to really drop your jaw. But impressions of the first round of the tournament from your side?
Not really.
No impressions at all.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think we talked about this after we calmed down a little bit on Wednesday, but we said it was pretty much going to be chalk, and we said like I guess we said Jeff's team we put a chance to pull an upset there, but I mean everyone else not really much of it was pretty status quo. I think the next round is going to be very interesting. That's where the things start to change. But I mean, unfortunately, you got a lot of teams that are completely outmatched playing against some of the top teams in the county, and it's really a shame that they end up playing in a county tournament where it's losing by 50 or 60 points. How enjoyable is that? But that's for another time.
Well, I think we got the topic for next week's edition of the Ballgame here on NorthJerseySports.com. It is true. I mean, so much is made about getting into the tournament, and for a lot of these teams, it makes the season. You set the goal at the beginning of the year. Hey, let's be 500. Let's go have some fun in the county tournament. But 32 teams is an awful lot, and especially when you look at 72-23 IHA over Queen of Peace, and in fact, I'm sure that Steve Silver didn't try to run it up. I mean, I know the guy, and that's not his style. And still, they wound up outscoring Queen of Peace by 49 points, if my math is correct. And, it's got to be hard there for the higher seeded team as well. I mean, you don't want to go out there and embarrass anybody. It's not your goal, but that's who they put in front of you, and you can't tell your kids not to throw the ball in the basket, right?
No, of course. I mean, it's obviously tough because, and if you take a look at who knows, some of these other schools too, especially if they're not playing in like a really great league, how many quarters are their starters really playing? Some of them, because right. They're so much better than everyone else. I know obviously first pretty well, like Richie Park, for example. I mean, Captain Haynes and Revito. I mean, they may play half to 3/4 of the game each night because the teams that they
right.
play, they're beating up. I mean, look at their first round game. Captain didn't even play, and they still won by 23 points. That's how good they are. So, I mean, some of these teams, it's not fair to them to say, we'll take it easy and, you don't play them. And then, obviously the bench kids coming in, you can't tell them not to score.
Right.
But, it's a catch-22. It really is, and like I said, these other teams, the leagues that they play in or the teams that they have, I saw Queen of Peace play, and they're not bad. But, playing against an IHA, I mean, obviously
right.
that's, it's a tall order.
Richie, you were at 2 games on Saturday. The industrious reporter that you are, you did 2. One of them, the Indian Hills win over Glen Rock. We'll go into further detail with Julie Haledjian shortly. But Ramapo got a game from Rutherford. I mean, that was one of the competitive first-round games. It wound up being a 19-point spread, but it wasn't a 19-point game.
No, Rutherford was down 3 with the ball with 40 seconds left, and just basically, I mean, an unforced turnover, throw the ball away, and then Rosie Martin for Ramapo comes in off the bench like a house of fire. I mean, she scores on a layup before the end of the third quarter, scores on another one to start the fourth quarter, and ends up having 8 points in 2 minutes, and Ramapo was off and running. Ramapo's an interesting and tricky team to kind of get a gauge on, because you see them for like 5 or 6 minutes, and you say, you know what, they can hang with pretty much anybody. And then, they had stretches like they did in the third quarter where, they were lucky to be up 3. I mean, Rutherford totally outplayed them in the third quarter.
Right.
And, but yeah, again, you get that with high school teams in any sport. It's trying to, the great teams or the successful teams have to have that consistency. If Ramapo's going to beat Richfield Park, they can't have a lapse like they did to start the second half, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's true. I was at the Pascack Valley win over Riverdale. It was an interesting game for 3 quarters. I mean, I say interesting in a different sort of way. I mean, Riverdale just had trouble scoring, but they didn't let the game get out of hand until they had to start fouling in the fourth quarter, and Pascack Valley pulled away Forget the final score, 35-19 was the final there. So Jeff Jasper has Pascack Valley back in the round of 16. They're going to get a shot at IHA. I think what we should do here before we bring on our guests, Jeff, and I'll go to you first. Second round games here. I actually, the schedule was sent kindly enough to the world headquarters of NorthJerseySports.com. I will run it down quickly, and then you give me the one that you most would like to see. So at Richfield Park on Saturday, the 12 o'clock game is Northern Highlands against Old Tappan. That's the 4:13. Ridgefield Park against Ramapo at 1:45. Immaculate Conception against Indian Hills at 3:30. The 5:15 is Midland Park against Westwood. At Pascack Valley on Saturday, 11 o'clock in the morning, IHA versus Pascack Valley in the 1:16. Saddle River Day Demarest, and we'll go into that deeper with Lindsay Steffner, the Demarest head coach, coming up here as well. That's at 12:45. 2:30, Teaneck against Pascack Hills. And 4:15, wrapping it up at Pascack Valley, is Paramus Catholic against Ridgewood. Jeff, which one, if you didn't have a coach's card and you had to pay to get in, which one would you pay your money to go see?
I want to see the Ramapo Richfield Park game. I think we played Ramapo on Thursday, and they were 26 of like 32. They scored possessions. They scored. Their defense was phenomenal. I know they have Haynes at Richfield Park without question. I think she's a little banged up, or I think she might have a little issue with her knee. But I just like Ramapo. I like Sandy Gordon. She's a phenomenal coach. So I'm going with Ramapo as a upset there.
Interesting. We like Sandy Gordon as well. We had her on the show on Wednesday, and it's true. I mean, she's won the county tournament 2 times. So, people would say that 12-5 would be an upset, but when a Sandy Gordon team wins a Bergen County tournament game, upset is a tough word to use. Scotty, which one would – well, you will be on hand doing crowd control at Ridgefield Park on Saturday. So if you weren't getting paid to be there, which one would you pay to see?
That's a tough one. I mean, obviously the Richfield Park. I think the Richfield Park Ramapo game, like Jeff said, is a very intriguing matchup. And as us, any basketball fan, should know, those 12-5 games. When you take a look at March Madness rolling around, 12,
yep,
dangerous seed. But besides that, I think that the other 2 games that really stand out to me would be Saddle River Day Demarest. I think that can be, go anyway. And I think Demarest obviously has a little bit, a little fire in their belly about, playing them last year in the first round and losing. So that one's interesting, as well as I think the Midland Park Westwood game I think is an intriguing matchup as well.
Yep.
Westwood,
and Richie,
Westwood obviously has turned it around, a big deal in 1 year, and Midland Park being a 7 seed, playing in Group 1 and Westwood playing Group 2, I think that's a pretty close matchup.
Yeah.
We just talked about, Lindsay and Julie turning around the program. Charlie Collis at Westwood
Absolutely.
really did. I mean, he unbelievable. And I had the privilege. He coached my freshman team for 1 year before he got that job, and I know him personally. Just a great guy, great coach. Puts a lot of time into it, and you're right, Scott. That's another great matchup.
Richie B, anything stand out to you?
I'm with Scotty on this one. I think the most entertaining game is going to be Saddle River Day Demarest. Again, same thing. Matchup from last year. Both teams like to, like to get up and down the court. They like to shoot threes. I think it's just going to be exciting. The most interesting game is Midland Park Westwood, because
I agree with you. I think I agree with you.
Because, again, I haven't seen either team yet this year, and I don't really know what to make of either one of them. I mean, Westwood has, a bad loss or 2 on their schedule, and then they just ripped off a ton of wins. Midland Park is undefeated, but, everyone seems to question their strength of schedule. So what's going to happen when they, for either of these teams to make a Bergen County quarterfinal is a huge accomplishment, and one of them's going to do it. So it's going to come down to, who's more hungry, and, can Westwood dominate inside? Can Midland Park, turn the ball over like they, force turnovers like they've done pretty much all year with Ribeiro at the top of their press? There are just a lot of interesting storylines. I think South Day Demarest most entertaining, Midland Park Westwood most interesting.
And Immaculate Conception, Indian Hills, first and foremost on our lips because, and it is nice to have a female voice on the line of the Grumpy Old Men edition here of the ball game on NorthJerseySports.com. We welcome in Indian Hills head coach Julie Haledjian. Coach, thanks for joining us here on the ball game.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we should also name this edition the Let's Make the Host Feel Really, Really Old. Because not only do I remember you as a player, I feel like you were a player at Pascack Hills, like, a year or two ago. It has gone very quickly, but it seems that you have settled in very nicely to that role at Indian Hills and in the head coaching role at Indian Hills. And to get a county tournament win for you has to be great.
Yeah. It's been 7 years, but it does feel like it's been a year or two ago.
Yeah, and you were on some good Pascack Hills teams too, as I remember correctly. But just let's talk about Indian Hills and let's talk about getting a county win for them.
It's the first county win just to be in counties. It's been the first time in 20 plus years for us, and just to be able to play a game and win a game was huge. It really boosted the girls, self-esteem and just really gave them a huge lift. And I just feel like they gained respect, especially in the county and in the league that we're in. And I really think that, they needed that win to really boost themselves up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jeff, do you remember your first county tournament game? What was it? And what happened?
It was actually, I believe, against Pascack Hills. Yeah, no, we played them last night, so I don't want to talk about Pascack Hills anymore. But yeah, it was. I think it was 99, 98, somewhere around there.
Did you win?
We won. Yes.
Oh, you braggart.
Well, I also had like a lot of Kazner on the team, so it was a lot easier.
That's true. That was a good team for you. Scotty, how about you? What was your first county tournament game?
First county tournament game was against Bergen, 2007, I think. 2007.
Was that with Jessica Knapp?
Yeah, Knapp. Yep. And
She was good.
it was good. I think we ended up winning by 5. It was a tight game, but I definitely didn't sleep well the night before. Yeah.
So Julie. Yeah, Julie, all that leads up to my question. I mean, how hard was it for you just to, not bounce off the walls going into it? I'm sure you were pumped up as well.
Yeah, I mean, just for it to be my first county game as a varsity coach, it's nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's just another game. And that's what I told the girls, and that's what I tell myself. You have to go into every game just like it's another game on your schedule, and, you go out there and do the best you can do.
Richie, you were at the game. You saw it. Why don't you take over from here?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the most important thing was a little adjustment you made to your press at halftime because in the first half, offensively you played fine, but they were just beating your press over and over and getting easy layups, got one pretty much at the buzzer to go up 2. What was the switch and, was there one thing in particular that you focused on? Because they were just going sideline and going straight up and beating that press. Was there one thing that you pointed out to them that, maybe they didn't see while the game was happening?
We switched the press up just because they were killing it, as you just said. We closed in and switched up another press, and closed in the middle, but we did deny the ball just because they had a strong guard who could dribble up to the sideline and break it very easily. So we guarded her, and once the ball was in, we played honest defense, and, once it went over half court, we just, played straight up defense and went into our zone, and we really just communicated and helped down low. And, Glen Rock's a very good shooting team, so making sure that we were all over where we needed to be, and, communication's huge on defense, so.
Yeah. Also, you got, Julia Ferraro seems to be your emotional leader for sure. And she also gave you a lot of offensive production yesterday and hit a couple shots early and never really stopped hitting them.
Yeah, Julia has been having ups and downs, and I spoke to her before the game and the night before after practice, and, I said to her, this is your time. You're going to be a senior. You're going to step up, and you're going to go out there and do the best you can do. And she really showed herself. She really proved, what it takes to be a senior. And she really, as you said, she is a very, she shows it through her emotions, and she was ready to go. And my coaches and I both saw that right before the game, and we all said it at different times. Julia looks like she's pumped, and she was a huge part of that win yesterday.
Julie, how for you as a head coach, was it did coaching in a county tournament game feel different? Were you more nervous, or did you just take it in stride? I mean, you were a big part of the county tournament as a player, but as a coach, did you have more nerves, less nerves? Butterflies had that feel when you went out there, to take the court.
Every game, it's very nerve-wracking just because it is my first year, and it's different, and I'm learning that as a coach compared to a player. It's different from being a player and different from being a coach, but, of course I'm going to have nerves, but when you coach the kids, you can't show those nerves because they're looking at you, and if they're nervous and they sound nervous, that does not help them. So, the best I can do is psych them up and just, inspire them to do what they need to do and get the job done. But, any game I go into, it's always nerves at the beginning, but once the tip-off goes, from then on, it's much easier.
In other words, you're a true professional, unlike Rich Barton, who keeps coughing and hacking and sneezing.
That's actually not me coughing right now.
No, that was probably me.
Jeff, have you played Pascack Hills this year?
We played.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Indian Hills.
No, we play them in about a couple of weeks actually. So we've been playing them, the last couple of years, and I'm just amazed by what a great job Julie's done. We played them last year, and their best player, Strauss, graduated. And, you look at teams like where they're going to be the next year, and I thought they were going to be down. And I think that's a tribute to what you've done this year. It's amazing. So I'm not looking forward to playing you now. No, but that's great. You've done a great job.
Yeah, and Jeff's going to try to keep the score in the teens, by the way.
17-13. Someone's going to miss the extra point.
Play it on Super Bowl Sunday. I'll grab that box, the 13-17 box. I'm sorry, Julie.
Anything over 25, we can't score, so we want to keep it low.
Go ahead, Julie. Okay.
Well, Scott played them to open the year.
Oh yeah. Scotty. Did you? Yeah. Talk about Indian Hills as you've seen them. It's a great win for them.
We opened up at their place, and I'll tell you, after playing them the last couple of years, and just seeing the difference in the environment, difference in the girls' enthusiasm, and seemed like they're feeding off Julie, and obviously it's paying off. We had a tough loss in overtime opening night, and we play them again Tuesday. There's obviously a big difference in them this year, and like Jeff said, it's definitely a tribute to Julie as a coach, and obviously the girls are buying into the things that you're doing. So obviously that's a great job, and I just want to ask if. Obviously you got a big game on Saturday. Maybe you want to sit a couple girls on Tuesday. By all means.
Yeah.
You don't want to, God forbid, you want to make sure they're well rested for Saturday.
Thanks for the advice, Scott.
Well, Julie, that does bring up a good point here. You obviously, winning the first county tournament game in a while at Indian Hills is a great feeling. The thing is, the 15 is in front of your name. The number 2 is in front of Immaculate Conception's name. You're going to play them this week in the round of 16. Just talk about what you're going to try to do. You never want to say you're going in expecting to lose, so, but you have nothing to lose. I'm sure it changes now from pressure to finally get that county tournament win for Indian Hills now to a different kind of mentality moving forward as a decided underdog.
Yeah, obviously we're a huge underdog. I don't feel that we have any pressure on ourselves because we are the underdog team, and we've never really been heard of in this county to do anything. I'm going to go in as I would any game, telling the girls to have confidence in themselves, to believe that they can get it done, and to visualize it. Because I think that's the most important part of all of it. Yeah, we are 15 seed and playing a great number 2 seed, but you have to go into every game, right when the tip goes off, you have no idea the outcome, but we're going to do our best to, play as well as we can and prepare as well as we can as the week goes on.
Yeah, well, whatever happens, you've already done great things over there at Indian Hills. Congratulations on the first-round victory. Congratulations on the great job that you've done in your first season as the head coach up there. And I'm going to congratulate myself for only mentioning Pascack Hills in error one time. Julie, thanks for joining us here on the ball game. Great to have you. Great to be back in touch with you. And now I can call you Coach. So thanks again, and good luck on Saturday and even the games before that.
Thank you, and thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. Well, interesting stuff there with Julie Haledjian, the head coach of the Indian Hills girls basketball team. And we move on now to welcome in our next guest, also still alive, heading into the round of 16 of the Bergen County tournament this weekend. She is Northern Valley Demarest head coach Lindsay Steffner, and I can't believe I didn't say Davis. Coach, thanks for joining us here on the ball game.
Thanks for having me.
You sound so enthused.
Oh, yeah, I'm always enthused to be here. Are you kidding me?
Well, let me ask you the first question and the most important question of the night. Sage Doviak, what kind of student is she in your gym class?
Right now she's getting an A, but I do have her every day to make sure you don't come to my games.
Right. Yeah, when I covered you against Paramus Catholic, I'm surprised you didn't make her do a couple 20 extra push-ups during the day.
I know. Yeah.
So, good stuff. You're off to a good start in this year's tournament. You're the number 9 seed, knocked off Ramsey at home 47-29. The pool gets a little bit deeper now as you move on here. The 8-9 game is supposed to be a tough one in any tournament, and Saddle River Day on Saturday. Just talk about where how you're feeling going in there.
I'm excited about the rematch. I mean, we had them last year as a first-round game, and we played tough for about a half, and we kind of fell apart halfway through the second half. They just hurt us. The point guard is a pretty player. We just ran out of steam trying to guard her. So I am excited for the rematch. I know our girls are excited for the rematch. And like an 8-9 game, I mean, I don't think it gets any better right now. You have two very good programs going after each other.
Yeah, and you say very good program. I mean, you've brought Demarest to that level rather quickly. Just talk about how it is for you second time around. Different this year? I mean, obviously you played in it, you've watched it a million times, but to actually coach in it and now to do it again for a second year, you feel more comfortable, more confident?
Yeah, I mean, we take every game one at a time. I'm still thinking about, I'm packing inside tomorrow, then TV, then Bergenfield before we really get to Saddle River Day. I think our girls are more confident going into it this year. They know the style of play that Saddle River Day plays a little bit more. So I'm hoping they're going to be more comfortable to see that pace. Whereas last year I think we were stunned a little bit, by how fast they play. I think as far as second year through, our girls, I don't know, last time Demarest won a county game. So, that was one of our goals this year, just to get in the tournament and then win a game. So they've already exceeded, I think, some of their expectations. So, we're going to give it our best at Saddle River Day. But, again, we're just happy that we're in this position still. Absolutely.
Scotty, you've played them, correct?
Yes, played them, when we played? I don't remember. Thursday. Yes.
Yeah.
We played them last Thursday, and they're so much better. I mean, for 3 years now we played Demarest, and I was telling the girls, I said, not much has changed as far as the people on the court. And obviously, there's graduated a couple like the Lewis girl from last year. My first year at Paramus, we beat them pretty handily, and then all of a sudden Lindsay comes in, and obviously big difference. And obviously this year, she didn't even play the Corcoran girls Thursday, and we still struggled obviously to beat them and struggled to score. And they're very, very well balanced. Have a lot of girls that can score and do some good things. They play great defense. Are you playing? Is that game going to be at Richfield Park, or do you know where you're playing?
I don't know yet. I have to look that up. It's either going to be Richfield Park or Pascack Valley.
Well, it's a good thing you ask. You are playing at Pascack Valley on Saturday, 12:45.
Okay,
the second game of the slate there. So that's where you will be.
It's a good spot to be. We're comfortable with it, and we're actually going there on Tuesday too. So I mean, if anything, our girls have played in that gym, in that locker room, so it's only going to help us out.
Have you gotten to scout them?
No, not yet. We're going to go watch them Tuesday, and I think they play Friday as well. So we have 2 chances this week. But no, I haven't had a chance to see them yet.
how much will you adjust what you do to suit them, or will you try to establish, what you're comfortable with and what you've been doing all season to try to make them adjust to you? I mean, how do you see the chess game going against Saddle River Day?
Every game we make adjustments, small adjustments, matchup adjustments. Like Scott said, which I appreciated his words about our team. We're fairly well balanced. We have an inside presence. We have great guards. We have kids that can shoot off the dribble. We have kids that can spot up and hit threes. I don't want to adjust too much of what we're doing because I think we are playing pretty good basketball right now. But I know defensively I have to make adjustments. The kid, the point guard, Izzy, she led us up to 31 points last year. So
right.
Clearly, if we can't let her go off like that again. The kid hasn't scored that big of numbers against us in the last, since her. So, I have some kids that I think play defense a little bit harder this year. They're a little bit longer, harder to shoot over if they close out properly. So I think it's just about knowing matchups and knowing what, the scouting report kind of says and sticking to it.
Jeff, would you like to offer any advice?
Yeah, I think Demarest is still shooting threes on me right now. I mean, I thought they were the most complete team. I think that with Demarest, they could do everything, like Lindsay said. They could slow it up. They could go fast. They could go up and down. They could go, low post. They basically could do everything. And looking back at my schedule, I thought Northern Highlands was pretty solid, but I really thought Demarest was the best team we played all year. The adjustments, the homework that Lindsay does, and it's now everybody knows. I mean, you go into Demarest, you got to do your homework. And I love the guard play, and now they have the post play like they had last year, but they also have the girl from, where is she from, Saddle River Day, is she? Or
yeah, she's from Saddle River Day.
Yeah. So,
hey, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, right. So I got Demarest winning on Saturday.
Yeah, Lindsay, I think maybe break down, just talk about a couple of your girls. I mean, the Corcoran girls are, I've had this conversation with Keith Johnson, with Beth Powell. When you get one good freshman athlete who can play a varsity sport, it's great. They came in last year as twins, they're sports junkies. You know what I mean? So obviously they make a big difference to every program that they have entered at Demarest. They are the rare two-sport athletes. But maybe, them being the givens. Talk about some of the other girls on this team, because you really do not rely on just one to carry you through here.
No, and you know what? When you look through, the season, our box score, we've had 5 different kids lead us in scoring this year, in different games this year, and 3 or 4 in rebounds alone. So, that's the one good thing about my team, that, they take something away. Like we say, we're pretty well balanced. Someone else is going to step up. And even against Tenafly, my point guard stepped up and had a great game, and that, got her out of her shooting slump. I think she had 15 that day, and not many people, notice Megan Lewis on the court, but, to be honest, she's my leader out there, and she really controls the tempo, controls things that, she just gets in people's face on defense, and, that gets, our team riled up and playing harder behind her. And if you look at our team, I don't think, many people really pay attention to her, but she understands exactly what I want when I want it, and, you can't ask for more in a point guard. And I have Olivia Colin as a senior down low. She's good for about 6 to 8 points a game right now, 6 rebounds or so. And she's gaining more confidence. The other day she had a really good game against Paramus, so she's coming around. And then we had Brianna Tarabakia, who I couldn't have asked for a better transfer. What a gift coming from Saddle River Day. She's like 5'11" guard, shooting guard. So, I mean, just my starting lineup alone, then you obviously throw in the twins, who are phenomenal. And then I have 2 freshmen coming off the bench, another senior coming off the bench that are just, very hard-nosed players that just do what they're, asked of.
How much fun are you having? I mean, I know you waited. And you try to pick the right spot to take your first head coaching job. I know, there were other places you could have gone. You chose Demarest, and it really is kind of a match, a perfect match, because you've brought Demarest back to respectability in a hurry. And even the game where I saw you this year, I didn't mean to bring it up, against Paramus Catholic, was a loss, but I get the feeling that your kids are really enjoying the situation of playing for you too, because. Listen, they got a fighting chance every time they go out there, and that has not been the case at Demarest in a long time.
Right. I enjoy my job, and that's I think evident in watching me coach them respond to me, then respond to each other. That even today I had optional practice, and they all showed up, and we played horse, we played knockout. We just had a great time and worked on things we needed to, but it was like a much more relaxed environment. to have 12 kids show up on a Sunday afternoon when there's midterms to be studied for,
Right.
they're just having fun. They just like winning. They like getting out there. They like competing with each other. And I can't, what can I ask for? I can't ask for anything more.
Well, you're doing a great job over there, as we knew you would. Lindsay Steffner, the head coach of the Northern Valley Demarest Norse women, heading into the round of 16 this weekend. Thanks for joining us here on the ball game, and
Absolutely.
as always, best of luck, and make sure my kid gets an A.
She will. She earns it every day. Don't worry. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Interesting stuff there with Lindsay Steffner. First and foremost, the fact that Sage Doviak, my daughter, is in her gym class and seems to be performing up to her capability. So not only did I get the skinny on Demarest against Saddle River Day, I also got a parental progress report. And Richie B, that's something, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's really worth its weight in gold. To go on a podcast and get that kind of inside information.
And let me tell you something real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut in, but you have two phys ed teachers on the line, not gym teachers. You have two phys ed teachers.
Yeah, I was cringing every time I said
pretty much the same thing.
No.
I apologize. One of my best friends is Jim Fusey. He's the head coach of the Cliffside Park boys soccer team. And when I interviewed him after the Bergen County tournament semifinals earlier this year, he gave this long soliloquy, this beautiful philosophical speech about how soccer plays such a great role in the lives of young people and how it helps build camaraderie and team spirit and all that other stuff. And then he said, "But what do I know? I'm just a gym teacher." So I was thinking,
I gotta talk to him about that. That's not right.
It's good stuff here, and it was fun too. I apologize for the faux pas. But what am I? I'm a website operator. I mean, that's not exactly up there behind nuclear scientist either. So please forgive me, gentlemen. So it's going to be fun. Scotty, you're going to be on site all day at Richfield Park on Saturday, and technically it's work, but you got the best job in the world on Saturday.
Oh, absolutely, it's great. I mean, you get to see 4 games. Hopefully, they're all 4 competitive games. Like we said before, I think 2 of them will be really, high intense competitive games. Obviously in the round of 16, you're still going to, the top couple seeds, you're probably going to get, whatever, a 20-point win here or there. But
right.
Still, these teams are top 16 in the county. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's fun, obviously we all want to be there as coaches, but if you're sitting in the stands or if you're sitting there working, whatever it is, it's a little bit more enjoyable. Obviously, a lot less stress.
Yeah, and it's fun because the basketball community comes together. I mean, everybody who's interested in it is in the gym. I mean, that's where Rich and I we get a lot of our work done too. In there, you're talking to people, you see different faces. On Richie and I's case, we usually get the "How come you haven't covered us?" which we deserve.
Or please don't cover us.
Right.
You're a jinx.
Richie, you didn't come to one of my volleyball games all year. What's up with that?
No, I don't know what happened.
We are.
Don't worry, I'll get to one of your basketball games for certain.
Yeah, and Jeff, the last time Richie and I came together to one of your volleyball practices, the last time that Richie and I showed up to one of your volleyball practices, I mean, we pretty much dominated at the net.
Oh, it was hard to watch.
Yeah, I was worried. They're going to roll an ankle.
Yep. Well, I don't get off the floor much anymore. But anyway, this weekend is going to be a lot of fun, and even moving into next weekend's quarterfinals. Listen, we picked up Coach Kohler this week. We got Scotty Papetti as our anchor on this ball game that we're going to do. And you know what? Next week we'll wrap up the round of 16 and we'll look ahead to the quarterfinals. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. And we'll keep it going here on the ball game. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Follow the leader.